Hello. Happy almost lunar eclipse or post lunar eclipse, depending on when you are listening to this. I am on the very, very tail end of my bleed presently, and throughout this entire bleed so far, I have been navigating some pretty emotionally intense energies. A lot of emotional releasing has been transpiring this cycle so far, as though my heart has been simultaneously going through its own energetic menstruation of sorts, a renewal within my expression. And I'm really hopeful that you can actually hear me properly, because the sun has now come out. We've had constant rain and hailstones all day, and suddenly the sky is blue and the sun is shining, and I've had this urge to do a podcast throughout my entire bleed, but I've not had the energy to action on it. But I'm on the tail end today, and this lunar eclipse energy has been quite intriguing. And if there's one thing about me, is that I use my mediums of expression for alchemy, whether that's singing, dance, writing particularly is the main one typically, but I love to speak, as we established on episode 1. That's why I've made this, because I just need somewhere safe for me to come to just talk, because I talk a lot. And I figured what a beautiful space this would be to just kind of come here, sit, relax, delve into the energies of this eclipse, and for me to sort of share what I've been experiencing personally. And I know in doing that, I just know in my soulful bones that it will reach whoever it's meant to, because that is the way of the universe after all. So welcome back if you're joining again here in the Becoming from episode 1, and welcome period if this is your first time joining. This lunar eclipse has been something so far, and I find with particularly the full moon, the build up is where you can really feel the rising tides of energy and the chaos of it all. And there's this big myth in the spiritual community that full moons are these big portals of releasing, and they can be, but I think that is a very generalized, stereotyped, kind of whitewashed, colonized way of looking at it all, to be honest with you. It's very much giving pop astrology, and I think it's important to kind of go to the ancient roots of these modalities and these practices and this wisdom, and to honor it and to respect it. And just from my personal experience over the years, through experimenting and researching and studying and exploring and embodying, full moons are not the time to release. Full moons are the time to illuminate and to meditate and to assess. And that doesn't mean that the process has to be so logical and sterile necessarily, but it just means that we take a moment to pause and to reflect on what is revealing itself. The full moon is a time to witness that which is being revealed, and a lunar eclipse full moon is an illumination, a revealing of our unconscious, of our shadow realm. And the church bells are going as soon as I say that. Every single time those church bells go, when I'm saying something, I'm like, I know that this is this is the divine like supporting me. I can't explain it. It's just like magic to my ears. But anyways, and can I just say, so I work with True Sidereal as my astrological system. I go by what is actually reflected in the sky, and in True Sidereal astrology, this full moon lunar eclipse is in Virgo, so it does actually match up with the Western energy. But I've not looked into the tropical chart for this eclipse. I don't know what it's aspecting, so I don't know if that's the same. Probably not. There'll be some similarities, I'm sure, but I just want to make that clear now. But I will be speaking of it in terms of a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. And I just want to say that I feel like it's really beautiful how I'm showing up in this state. I'm showing up sleepy and, you know, tired, and just, as you can tell, just not bursting with energy, because I'm not in the summer of my cycle right now, and that's okay. But I still have this urge to show up, to enter into this sacred portal of the becoming, and that's very much giving the energy of, you know, the embodiment of this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, and about leaning into your service, your creating, your showing up is enough, just as it is, whatever it is that is for you. And I just think that's a really beautiful way to honor this energy, because one thing that I've gone into with the intention of this podcast, I don't know if I spoke about it in episode 1. I definitely thought about it to myself before doing it, but it was just that I wanted to go into it not having everything figured out before I did the thing. I think I did speak about this in episode 1, actually. I spoke about how I didn't want to like buy all this fancy equipment, and I didn't want to understand, you know, the right platforms to be using, and I've just really been figuring it out as I go along. And I'm just kind of making and creating with what I already have, and I'm having a really enjoyable time. I know it's only episode 2, but I really love just coming and sitting here and speaking and sitting in nature, because I really believe that when one is sat in nature and connecting with the earth, you can't hide. It's impossible to shrink. You can't, there's no way to mask up. And I've always found with like ex-boyfriends, for example, I've always had the best time with ex-boyfriends when we would be like on a walk in nature connecting, particularly my most recent ex from 2023. Fucking toxic relationship. But when we were together outside with the earth, because we were very connected to the earth with our own individual relationships, but connected nonetheless, we were just so open and so safe and so relaxed and so free. And I want that to translate in this podcast as well, and I feel it does. I feel like it really does. But yeah, it's been really interesting bleeding on the waxing gibbous leading up to this eclipse, because the energy has been chaotic, and I've actually found that this bleed, it's been hard to ground myself into it. I've very easily been becoming scattered, and that's very unlike me when I bleed. I'm pretty good at centering myself into bleeding. Obviously, I'm human, I'm not perfect, and the last few bleeds, shit has come up, and that's been really triggering for me, because I've just wanted to sink deeply into my little portal of renewal and release, but I've not fully been able to do that at some points. But I've managed my emotions, you know, I've felt my way through that, and I've given to myself as best as I can, which is all we can do. It's all we can do. We can, you know, even if it's just 5% at a time, it's better than nothing, you know. But this time it's been really quite something. Like I said, there's been a lot of heart releasing going on in this process, a lot of emotions, a lot of grief, and a lot of fear. I feel pretty scared at the moment. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel confused. I feel conflicted. I feel as though I am so bursting with 1,000 different ideas and potentials and paths and realities, but not with the capacity to make every single thing happen, because not every single one of these things is supposed to happen right now in this moment, obviously. And I've noticed myself, this bleed, acting out on these ideas, and I'll do it, and I feel this like cord of attachment going towards this initiation that I've created through, you know, messaging a particular person and being like, do you know about XYZ, or putting a particular post up and being in the social media world where I don't really want to actually be in the social media world, particularly on Instagram I'm talking about, because my relationship with my Instagram just is not it. There's something there that just feels, and I felt like this for a very long time, that feels off. I can't explain it. It feels too busy, too noisy. I've really been enjoying playing with threads, I will say. I find that the reach is so much vaster, and I get to reach like new people to come and become a part of my audience. And I'm slowly beginning to build a following, which I'm really excited about. And I definitely want to sort of continue down that line. But yeah, it's a difficult one. I've had this real desire that continuously comes up of, I want to connect in the real world. You know, I want to be with real people in real life. And I'm very confused, because a part of me is like, I want to make courses. And then the other part of me is like, well, I can't be bothered. And I want to come here and I want to be really honest about where I'm at today, because there's a lot of performing that we see, not just in like the healing spiritual community, but just in life. We are surrounded by a gazillion fucking people who every single day are masking, and we do it ourselves. I do it myself, and we're pretending that we're okay and that we've got it all figured out when we don't. We're not necessarily okay. We don't fucking have it figured out. And I know for a fact that we're going to still be 70, 80, 90 years old, not really truly having it figured out. There's always going to be something. Although I don't know, actually. I don't know. Perhaps there is a point. And perhaps it's the moment that you take your last breath where you're like, actually, no. I feel at peace and I feel complete. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's the moment when we surrender our soul from this vessel. But my shadow has been shadowing. And there's this myth as well in the astrology spiritual community that your south node is something in your chart that you need to let go of, which is fundamentally untrue. And that notion has always really confused me. For years it did, when I was really studying this shit, because all I'm reading and seeing and being taught everywhere is that I need to let go of this energy. Yeah, for me personally, in not my true sidereal, I'm not too sure about that, but in my tropical, my sidereal chart, you're conjunct my Lilith, which is like the juiciest fucking thing ever. And I always had this instinct in my body that was like, I don't want to let go of that. I need to sink deeper into that to be the full, strong, whole, rooted part of me. And I fundamentally believe that there is nothing that we truly need to let go of. There is gifts in every single aspect of self. You can take your most narcissistic, self-absorbed aspect of the psyche and there is still a gift there for you. It's only when we lean too far into something that we eclipse these other parts of ourselves. And what the lunar eclipse does is it enlightens us to what has been eclipsed in the shadows, what has been getting buried alive and has been sort of pushed to the side. And I don't want to cut off chunks of me. You know, like I see it in trees everywhere. There are these 4 willow trees that live just down the road from me, and willow trees are my favorite trees. And my heart is broken right now because whoever owns that home is cutting this willow tree to pieces. All the limbs are just, oh my God, there's a huge rain cloud descending over me right now, for fuck's sake. I can feel the winds changing. I can smell it in the air. It's going to literally rain and pour. Oh no. But yeah. And it breaks my heart. And especially because right now, on the little strands of branches that are hanging down at the front, life is renewing itself. There are these buds of green on her. And right now she's practically just a trunk and some cut off limbs. I don't want to become that. I don't want to do that to myself. What's the point of existing if I'm cut into pieces and I don't get to express the whole capacity of my potential inside of me? And there isn't any part of me that I want to release. I don't want to shed my wounded selves. I don't want to shed my narcissism. I don't want to shed my selfishness. I don't want to shed my vulnerability. I don't want to shed my playfulness. I don't want to shed my naivety. I want to take these things and I want to transmute it into the highest expression. I want to take naivety and I want to transmute it into curiosity. Safe curiosity, regulated curiosity, you know? I want to take narcissism and, you know, selfishness, and I want to transmute it into putting myself first in the moments that I need to, such as when I'm bleeding, and it's important that I put myself first as best as I can. That's what I want to use that for. That's how I'm going to make a gift out of it. And the South Node is not something that we need to escape or run away from. You do not need to cut yourself off from the source of you. Actually, your South Node is the source of you. It's the roots. It's the roots of your tree. It's the tail of the dragon. And your North Node is the tree itself. It's the trunk, the branches, the flowers, the leaves, the whatever, the blossom, the cherries, the fruit, everything. It's the fire of the dragon. It's the physical expression that you're here to embrace, but you can't have that without descending. You can't have that without rooting into the truth of your core self. Fire does not destroy. Truly, no, it does not. It transmutes. It alchemizes. Fire liberates. I have this piece where I say, I'm sometimes the wildfire, sometimes the forest, sometimes the smoke, sometimes the ashes. I am sometimes the night sky watching on as the fire emerges. I am not dying, but merely rebirthing. And I shall burst through a canal of hope, flames licking away at the confines of my cage. Shattered glass of the safety I was confined within decorates my labour pain, and the pain is not one of agony, but one of growth. We have many paradoxes of pain living here on this sweet earth. And towards the end I say, come, sweet soul, fire is warm, and fire is kind. Fire is a friend when you are willing to die, so die. Be reborn. Let it be known what the soul truthfully seeks to be shown. There's a woman on fire inside of me. She bleeds ashes, so tender, so holy. And it goes on for a couple more lines, but I'm going to end that there for a second. But Fire is a friend. And death is not the end. No matter what you believe in, and I'm not just talking about physical death, but death on every level. And so this lunar eclipse, I'm leaning into me. I'm leaning into my authenticity. I'm leaning into my confusion, my fear, this void that I'm in right now, because I know that these next 2 weeks ahead of me is a time to dissolve and to befriend the unknown and to dance in the unknown and to meet with my unknown self. That's all this is. I'm being introduced to a version of myself that I am yet to know, that I'm yet to learn from and to experience and to embody. I don't know who she is. But in this process of dissolving, I become everything. And as the solar eclipse arrives, in just over 2 weeks from today, I'm going to be in my cocoon, shedding the skin of it away. And it's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. There will be labor pains. But the pain is not one of agony, it's one of growth, because we have many paradoxes of pain living here on this sweet earth. And I'm going to emerge a beautiful butterfly all over again. And I'm going to live. I'm going to experience. I'm going to rise high and take up space in my own life, because I cannot afford to continue to hide. I cannot afford to stifle my voice, to play small. I also can't afford to blame and curse the world for not hearing me and receiving me when I'm not really trying to put myself out there to be heard, to be seen, to be received. I've got all of this power inside of me that I earned. I fucking earned it. I worked for it. I have waded my way through generations worth of pain over these past 5-6 years, however the fuck long it's been, I actually don't know. I have gone through initiation after initiation. I have sat with my greatest shames, my worst mistakes, my deepest heartbreaks, the worst violations that I have encountered. I've sat with it all, and I'll continue to be initiated, but something is changing. I'm changing. We are changing, because evolution is our natural state. And as I was speaking through all of that, it's been gently spitting down on me whilst the sun is still out. And it's so funny, because a part of me had this fear when that big rain cloud was descending over me, and I was like, fuck, am I going to have to stop this? Am I going to have to put a pause to this when I actually feel really centered and really at home? I don't want to, no. And the rain has passed. The rain wasn't anything to be feared. In fact, I fucking love the rain. I went on a walk yesterday and it was raining, and then it began snowing, and I was like, what is life? And I was soaked and I was cold to the bone, but it was worth it. And I saw it as a gift from the earth, from the sky, from the universe, from life itself, a chance of renewal in that moment, of just washing away anything that's not mine to carry, anything that is burdening me, and just purifying myself to come home back to my natural core, rawest of states. There's a very human part of me that is alive right now. There is a very human part of me that is scared right now, that is confused, that doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And that's also the epitome of spring. Not all that flowers that bloom are intended to stay. Blossom blooms. I'm seeing cherry blossom everywhere right now, and it's beautiful. But she's going to be gone soon. Because she's not like the end product of this life cycle, you know? She's not the peak of nature's expression. She's just the beginning. She's just the start. And isn't that crazy how even just the start can be so magical and so beautiful? But it's scary. And I always wonder if the petals and the leaves, if they feel scared too, or if they let go with ease, if the tree lets go of them with ease. Like, what clings? Does the tree cling? Is it the roots that cling, or is it the petals or the leaves itself, you know? Or do they just flow and trust in the growth, knowing that perhaps they'll become like those 4 willow trees that I love so deeply, that are presently being chopped down into little tiny pieces. Which I think is cruel, quite frankly, because it's not their fault that someone decided to build a property on that land where they probably should have just let the trees be and worked with the earth instead of forcing the land to be what they selfishly needed it to be to serve them and their vision. And that's part of the problem that we have, is that we don't co-create. We colonize and we control and we manipulate. We don't work with what is already there. We strip it away and cut everything back and keep everything neat and in a box and simple and pretty and perfect and sublime, all this bullshit. And you see this reflecting in the language that we use in the healing spiritual space. Like I mentioned about the full moon, this whole, we're going to release this stuff and we're going to be so pure and healed and magical and perfect. No. What the fuck are you talking about? Have you even lived through an initiation of the wild feminine? Have you even sat with your womb for even a lunar cycle or a menstrual cycle at a time consistently and really gone there? And I say this knowing that I'm being initiated now to go there deeper than I've ever been there before. I'm spring right now. I am blossom on a tree right now. This bloom that you see in front of thee, I am just at the start. And I'm magical, and I'm amazing, and I'm beautiful. And it's incredible to witness and to experience, but I have to let go. I can't be this me anymore. And it's not because I don't love this stuff. She's coming with me, but I have to change my form. Which is very on brand for the personal astrology of this eclipse, actually, because it's in my first house. It's in my first house, of course. And all I've had in my fucking head and repeat for the longest time, but I go through waves with this, but particularly these last few weeks, is just defying gravity. And I'm just hearing, you know, there's something has changed within me. I'm just literally hearing that on repeat. Because it's my truth. Something inside of me has changed, and I don't fit into this existence anymore. into this expression. I've got to change the way that I express myself, and I'm scared because everything has been so familiar and so known for such a long time. And I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I thought I was here to be a writer, and so I wrote a fucking book, and now I don't know what the fuck it's just sitting there. I don't know what's happening. It's not revealed itself to me yet. And I thought I was meant to start a business and, well, restart my business for the gazillionth time and hold space and support and make courses and everything. And it's like, but I don't know, you know. And this is the epitome of the energy, and I can't continue to go against my nature by fighting and forcing and pushing against the current. I just want to like let go and let new grow. That's what I want to do. I don't care what work I do in the world anymore. I don't care how I make money anymore. I just don't want it to drain the fucking life out of me. That's one thing I won't do, is sell my soul for money. Never again. I've done it too many times. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I've lived through that initiation countless times of picking something because it's of what it looks like on paper, and then actually living that experience and realizing that I made the naive choice. I made the undeveloped feminine psyche choice, is what I did. The damsel decision. The damsel decision. I love that. Oh. But service is, it's so much more than career and work. And you know, we live in a world where we need to earn money. Valid. Valid. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't want to go on down the road of then demonizing the human part of existing, because we're here to live that out. Again, there's no need to resist that and go too far the other way, but service is just living from the soul and trusting your instincts and living creatively, which means living curiously and having the courage to follow your urges, even if you're scared, even if you're afraid, even if it doesn't make sense. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense to do this podcast logically. I don't have a big platform where people come and like swan over to come and listen to what I have to say. But maybe doing this, I get to change that narrative inside of me, and I get to bridge into a new reality where people do value to what I have to say, and people rightfully so do come and rush over to listen to what I have to say, because what I have to say is important and it's special and it has meaning. And I believe that. I think I have some fascinating ideas. And I think it's time to grow further into my truth. So yeah, this lunar eclipse, I won't be shedding. Not in that way. I'm not going to be ecstatically purging the shit. No. I'm going to dissolve. I'm going to soften. I'm going to be like water, and I'm going to gush freely. I'm going to move curiously. I'm going to root into my body, and I'm going to be, and I'm going to see what reveals itself as I live my life centered in creativity. As I go and move through the world exploratively. As I go and create for the sake of creating, because it feeds me. As I go and connect with nature for the sake of connecting with nature, because it restores me. And I restore it. I restore her. Like, we're so selfish when it comes to the earth, and it kills me. It kills me. Because we take and we take and we take. And you don't realise it, but everything around us has feelings too. And has a consciousness of itself too. And has a heart and a womb of its own too. And you know, she just would like you to place your hands upon the earth from time to time and just say thank you. The sky would like you to gaze up at her, whatever state she's in. Don't just wait for the clear, starry night sky. Do it now. I'll do it now with these clouds that are descending again for round 2 of whatever this next expression of rain is going to be as it starts to get really cold and the sun is blocked from view now. And I'm still going to go and I'm going to say thank you. Because why would I not be grateful? No rain, no flowers. So I'm going to continue to cry. I'm going to continue to pour. Why should I fear these tears when it is these very tears that shall feed these seeds? That's what I have to say. So this lunar eclipse, don't run, don't hide. I say this to myself too. Don't run, don't hide. Soften, relax, rest, unwind, invite in. Open yourself up a little bit enough just to invite something new in. To see what medicine your shadow has for you. To see what the light of this bountiful moon has to illuminate for you. Because I promise you, when you move through that shedding of the cocoon, with those labour pains of growth, over that solar eclipse, and over that spring equinox as you burst through the soil, glimmers of golden light infiltrating your mind's eye, you won't regret it. You won't regret this one final time, this final opportunity of this winter. We will never go back to this winter again. It's so important that we relish it whilst we still have it, because we'll look back in spring, in summer, in autumn coming of this year, and we'll look back at this winter and think, wow, what a winter that was. I'm going to look back at this winter and see that it was the winter that I lost my grandmother. And it was the winter that my best friend moved across the world to Australia. It was the winter that I let go of my dream. Because I trusted my body. And that fucking scares me. But it was also the winter that I found worthiness in existing as I am, in not having to force or rush or push my way to be anything or anyone or anywhere other than here now. It was the winter where my heart, from this grief that I've never experienced before in this way, my heart expanded. My heart did not break open and gush out, leaving me empty and dry. My heart grew. My heart has made space for greater feeling in a way that I have not thought was ever possible. This winter I have surrendered, and I'm fighting now as I come to the tail end of it, but believe me, I'm going to push through. I will push through. Because I will never be this version of me ever again. And I don't know who I'm blooming into. All I know is that I'm a seed stirring in the soil very violently. And I am very human in this process, but I have also never been more divine. And I'm excited to tonight spend some time with myself, meeting myself for the truth of who I am. Because I think that this truth is greater than I could ever have envisioned it to be. And I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to face myself, all that I am, all that I am becoming, and all that I have lost. And I'm going to look and I'm going to see a woman with scars, with a wound or two that's still festering a little. I'm going to see a blemished woman. I'm going to see a soft woman. I'm going to see a strong woman. I'm going to see a whole woman. I'm going to see a whole woman. And it is my duty to be of service to the world through being my most vulnerable, authentic of self. That is my gift to you, to us, to this existence. That is my purpose. I'm not just an artist, I am the art. I'm not just the healer, I'm the medicine. I'm not just connected to source, but I am the source. I'm not just the river, I am the sea. So thank you for listening. And if anything I've said has resonated with you, or you have anything you want to share with me, please drop me a DM on Instagram, wild.mystique. Please connect with me, share with me, honor yourself through that connection created with myself. I'm not the best, most swift replier in the world. I find replying to messages very emotionally and energetically taxing. It drains me a lot. And that's the very human part of me speaking now. But I can't wait to hear from you, whoever I do. I love you. I see you. I hear you. I cherish you. I wish you so much abundance and healing and liberation and divinity on your own becoming. And yeah, take care, sweet souls. We will speak soon. I love you.